It's 2 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down beside you because you promised yourself you wouldn't check it again. Your mind won't stop. And somewhere in the back of your head, a thought creeps in. Something is wrong with me. But nothing is wrong with you. You are doing something your ancestors did almost every single night for 200,000 years. You just don't have the fire anymore. Sleep, as you understand it, is a modern invention. 8 unbroken hours, lights off, silence, one long stretch of darkness. That version of sleep is new. It's maybe 200 years old. For most of human history, sleep looked nothing like that at all. In the 1990s, a psychiatrist named Thomas Ware ran an experiment that changed how scientists understood human rest. He took a group of people and removed all artificial light from their evenings. No lamps, no screens, no candles late into the night. Just darkness, the way it would have existed before electricity. Within weeks, something strange happened. The subjects stopped sleeping in one block. Instead, they fell asleep for about 4 hours, woke up naturally in the middle of the night, stayed awake for 1 or 2 hours, and then fell back asleep for another 4. We're called this biphasic sleep. Historians call it something else. First sleep and second sleep. Before electric light flooded the night, this was normal. Not rare. Not a disorder. Normal. Court records, diaries, and medical texts from medieval and early modern Europe reference first sleep and second sleep so casually that historians almost missed it entirely. Roger Kirch, a historian at Virginia Tech, spent over a decade digging through these documents. He found hundreds of references. People used the hour between sleeps for prayer, for sex, for quiet conversation, for tending a fire, for thinking. They didn't fight the waking. They used it. Think about that for a second. An entire civilization built their lives around a nightly gap in consciousness that you now call insomnia. So what changed? Fire. Then gaslight. Then Thomas Edison's light bulb in 1879. Each one pushed bedtime later and shortened the window of true darkness. By the time electric light was in most homes, the 8-hour block became the goal. The 2-part night became a memory. Then it became forgotten entirely. And your body never got the memo. Your circadian rhythm, the internal clock buried deep in a part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, still runs on ancient rules. It responds to darkness the way it did before street lamps and phone screens. Around 2 hours before your natural first sleep would end, your body temperature dips. Melatonin drops. A lighter stage of sleep begins. For a hunter-gatherer, this mattered. Waking briefly in the dead of night meant a chance to listen, to check the fire, to notice a change in the wind or a sound that didn't belong. That middle-of-the-night alertness wasn't a glitch. It was a survival feature, refined over hundreds of thousands of years on a savanna where danger did not politely wait for sunrise. Anthropologist Carol Worthman studied contemporary hunter-gatherer groups, including the Hadza in Tanzania, and found something remarkable. Sleep among them is fragmented, social, and flexible. People wake, talk quietly, tend the fire, sleep again. Nobody in these communities describes this as a problem. There's no word for insomnia, because there's nothing wrong to name. You inherited that same nervous system, but you dropped it into a world of blackout curtains, blue light, and the cultural expectation that 8 unbroken hours is the only acceptable outcome. So when you wake at 2 a.m. and your brain won't stop, you're not broken. You're ancient. The tragedy is what you do next. You reach for your phone, and that's where things go sideways. The light from a screen suppresses melatonin production almost immediately. A study from Harvard Medical School found that blue-enriched light exposure at night pushes your circadian rhythm backward, delaying the release of melatonin by up to 3 hours compared to dimmer light. Your ancestors' middle-of-the-night wakefulness was met with darkness, low firelight, maybe a whispered conversation. Yours is met with a blast of light roughly equivalent to a small patch of daytime sky, delivered directly into your eyes from 6 inches away. Their bodies eased back into a second sleep. Yours convinces itself the day has already started. There's a deeper layer to this too. That quiet waking hour wasn't just biological. It was psychological maintenance. Kirch's research suggests that the time between first and second sleep functioned almost like an emotional pressure valve. People used it to process dreams, resolve small anxieties, and reflect, in a state that modern sleep researchers now compare to a light meditative trance. Some psychologists believe this transitional state, neither fully asleep nor fully awake, allowed the brain to make unusual connections. It's no accident that this hour shows up repeatedly in old writing as a time for creative thought and quiet insight. Now compare that to how you spend your version of that hour. Scrolling, doom reading, watching a stranger explain a conspiracy theory in a moving car. Your ancestors sat with their thoughts by firelight. You sit with an algorithm designed to keep your thumb moving. Same biological gap, completely different use of it. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Some researchers now believe that the modern insistence on one unbroken block of sleep may itself be part of why so many people report lying awake at night in frustration. If your body is quietly trying to enter a second sleep phase, but you've been told that any nighttime wakefulness is a failure, you don't relax into it. You panic. You check the time. You calculate how many hours you have left. That anxiety spike releases cortisol, and cortisol is exactly the wrong chemical for falling back asleep. In other words, the fear of not sleeping enough may be manufacturing the very wakefulness you're afraid of. Whereas original subjects didn't panic during their nightly gap. They rested in it. Because nobody had told them there was anything wrong with being awake at that hour. None of this means you should throw out your sleep schedule and try to live like a 14th century farmer. Modern life runs on modern clocks, and a fragmented sleep pattern doesn't fit neatly into a 9-to-5 world. But understanding where that 2 a.m. waking comes from changes what it means. It's not failure. It's not a disorder waiting for a diagnosis. It's a signal inherited from thousands of generations of people who lived by firelight and starlight, still quietly running in the background of your very modern brain. So tonight, when you wake in the dark and your mind starts turning, try something different. Don't reach for the phone. Don't calculate how many hours are left. Just lie there. Let your thoughts drift the way your ancestors did, in that same narrow window between first sleep and second. You're not failing at rest. You're remembering how to do it.